Should Catholics celebrate Halloween? Before we answer that, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss any of our videos. Okay, so every October, one topic seems to bring up a lot of questions and debate. Halloween. Is it satanic? Does it have pagan origins? Is celebrating Halloween sinful, or does it have any connection to the faith? Should Catholics even celebrate Halloween? To answer these questions, let's first look at the origin of Halloween. The word Halloween comes from the traditional Catholic feast All Hallows Eve, referring to the solemnity of All Saints. The word Hallow comes from the Old English and German root meaning holy or sanctified. This is the same word used in the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. The second half comes from the word meaning evening. So Halloween means All Hallows Eve, or the evening of All Saints. It was initially celebrated to mark Jesus' victory over death and evil. So why do people think of it as a Christianized pagan holiday, and how did the feast come to be celebrated on October 31st? Well, ever since Christianity was legalized in 313 AD, various regions started commemorating Saints' Day to honor the lives of saints, particularly the martyrs, in the wake of centuries of severe persecution. However, the pagan association probably came up because of the Pantheon. The Pantheon was a temple dedicated to the Roman gods. While it was initially a place of pagan worship, in 609 AD, the Byzantine Empire Focus handed the temple over to Pope Boniface IV, who then turned it into a Catholic church. The temple was rededicated on May 13th under the name Saint Mary and All Martyrs. May 13 was already celebrated in the Eastern Church as the Feast of All Saints, so this could have been a coincidence. So when did the feast change to November 1st? Well, over a century later, Pope Gregory III dedicated an oratory in St. Peter's Basilica to All Saints on November 1st. This then became the official date for the feast in Rome. It was only in the 840s when Pope Gregory IV asked King Louis the Pious to mark November 1st as the solemnity of All Saints in all the Roman Empire that it became the universal date for the feast. So, when did Halloween become the modern version we know today with ghosts, evil spirits and horror? Before November 1st became the official feast day of All Saints in the Roman Empire, several other regions like England and Ireland celebrated the festival of Samhain. Now, Samhain was a Celtic festival that marked the beginning of winter. It was celebrated between October 31st to November 1st to welcome in the harvest and usher in the dark half of the year. It was believed that during this time the spiritual barriers between the living and the dead would break down and allow dead spirits to return to their homes for one evening. Around the Middle Ages, bonfires and carved turnips called jack-o'-lanterns were placed in front of homes to protect families from fairies and witches who would be active during this time. This was based on the fable about a man named Jack who was not able to enter heaven nor hell because he played tricks on the devil. So he was forced to roam the earth with his lantern until Judgment Day. Later, turnips would be replaced by pumpkins in Irish tradition, and people began to dress up as monsters and ghosts and would go door to door singing for the dead and receiving cakes in return. In Ireland, groups of farmers would go around collecting food and other items for the village feast. Those who obliged were assured of prosperity and blessings, while those who refused were threatened with bad luck. When Irish immigrants moved to the United States in the 19th century, they continued their custom, which later developed to form the modern practice of trick or treating. So, was this a pagan holiday that was Christianized? Absolutely not. The celebration of All Hallows Eve came from Rome and had nothing of Celtic origin. As Christianity spread, it is possible that some of the traditions were incorporated into the Christian celebrations. November 1st was declared the Feast of All Saints. The feast was considered so important that it was celebrated with a vigil mass on October 31st, which became known as All Hallows Eve. Benedictine monasteries even included prayers for their dead members during the vigil mass. In 998, one French Benedictine monk, Saint Odilo of Cluny, established a separate day of prayer for all the faithful departed who would soon become saints. This practice spread across France and then to the rest of the world and became known as All Souls Day. So these 3 days, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day and All Souls Day, are together known in Catholic tradition as the Triduum of Death or All Hallow Tide, a time for honoring saints and praying for all departed souls. So, for Catholics, this is a time where the church asks us to reflect on the reality of death and the existence of hell. We pray for the grace to live holy lives so that we may unite ourselves with Christ in heaven along with the saints. We also remember the dead and pray for those in purgatory. In his letter, Credo of the People of God, Pope Paul VI explained how this triduum reflects the unity of the whole church. He writes, "We believe in the communion of all faithful of Christ, those who are pilgrims on earth, the dead who are attaining their purification, and the blessed in heaven, all together forming one church, and we believe that in this communion, the merciful love of God and his saints is ever listening to our prayers, as Jesus told us, ask and you will receive." Thus, it is with faith and in hope that we look forward to the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. So, here's the big question. Can Catholics celebrate Halloween? Yes, you can, if done in line with church teachings. For example, there is nothing inherently wrong with dressing up in costumes, but it's probably better to dress up as a saint than a devil or demon. Of course, things get out of hand when we see people glorifying evil and obsessing over dead spirits. So it's fine to participate in Halloween-related programs as long as it isn't disrespectful to the faith. As Catholics, it is essential for us to remember the significance of All Hallows Tide. It is a time when we commemorate the victory of the saints over darkness and the devil, and how they devoted their lives to honoring Christ. We should aim to follow their example and incorporate these values in our own lives. So, what do you think about this? Should Catholics celebrate Halloween or avoid anything related to spirits and ghosts? Let us know in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, let us know by liking and subscribing to our channel. It helps us a lot. Until next time.